I'm very happy to see in our studio Julio Reyes, the soloist for the upcoming concert. Welcome, Julio. Great pleasure to see you.
Well, thank you, Anna. Thank you for having me. I'm really looking forward. I was just listening to the violinist. Oh my goodness, there's some great players here, so I
Oh,
better be
yeah.
on my A game today.
You may need to unpack your instrument and practice a little bit, right?
Yeah, really.
But listen, I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions before. I know it's not the best time. You're all immersed in the rehearsing, but I'm going to take just a few minutes.
That's fine. That's fine.
I know you started the guitar at a very young age with your
Yes.
father, who was a diplomat in Paraguay in South
Yes.
America. So, what an interesting beginning. And then you also studied cello, and eventually you
Yes.
became a cellist, a principal cellist with the Auckland Symphony Orchestra.
Oakland
And
Symphony Youth Orchestra,
youth
not the
orchestra.
main orchestra, the youth orchestra.
Okay. And then you also
Hello.
were became a maestro Nagano's assistant conductor in that
Yes.
orchestra. Is that correct?
Yes, It happened in a situation where we were the host orchestra in Aberdeen, Scotland, for the Scotland Aberdeen Youth Festival, Orchestra Festival. It's an Olympic-style event where there are orchestras from all over the world, and we were the host orchestra from the U.S. And there was one time where he saw me working with a quartet that was having a problem playing this Vivaldi piece. And so I was working with him, and he liked the way that I worked with them. And so he, on the drive back, said, hey, look, I got this contract to record an album with Frank Zappa, and I'm going to need an assistant. Would you be interested? So on the flight back, I was, oh my God, I was floating. I was so excited. And so I ended up working for the Oakland Symphony for a few years. And then when Kent left, I continued on. And then when the Oakland Symphony stopped, I stayed for 1 year to keep it going. And then I left. It was time to go. By that time, I'd been associated with them for around, my God, 8 years, 9 years. So it was time to move on. And so I started giving recitals and freelance conducting. And I had stopped playing cello. I had a shoulder injury where I couldn't play for almost 4 years. And so I just kept with the guitar, started playing jazz bass also, and freelance conducting. And now I give lectures at conservatories and colleges on the music of a Paraguayan composer and guitarist, Agustin Barrios. He was one of the first ones to ever record an album on guitar. So he's a very, very important person for the guitar. And so my father studied with a student of his, so I have a lot of inside information. And so I'm looking forward to giving a lecture.
That's right.
masterclass
You're giving a
here.
lecture on Monday, so you're going to be
Right.
focusing on on that composer
Yeah,
during
at
that lecture.
SUNY. So I'm looking forward to doing that.
So you stumbled upon this opportunity to take a baton in your hand and you just run with it.
Well, I started conducting lessons when I was at this music program at Cal Berkeley. It was a 7-week intensive program during the summertime for kids. And that's where I got cello lessons, conducting. We also studied jazz. People that were classical players studied jazz. People that were jazz players were studying classical. So a lot of great musicians came out of there. Benny Green, Joshua Redmond, both Grammy winners that have performed at the Village Vanguard in New York. And so it's put out a lot of great musicians. And I'm just very honored to be an alumna of that group.
That's wonderful. I have another question, maybe a little bit of personal question. The colORCHESTRA auditions is striving to attract musicians not only in the traditional age group up to 30 or whatever the competitions usually limit the age. And we were really concerned that musicians of your or my age may feel like, okay, we're out of our water. We're not ever going to compete again. And we were so happy to see people applying. We had up to age 80 applying for the competition. So you were in a good company. You're not the only one, but of course the majority were the younger musicians. So it seems like maybe we're breaking through that glass ceiling and allowing the stage, the competitive stage, to become again available to musicians of all ages. How do you feel about it? What do you think?
I think it's great. I think there are a lot of people, because the whole competition thing hasn't been going on for years and years and years. You know, there were a lot of people like myself when I was, like 20s and 30s. There weren't competitions. There were, but very, very few, and they weren't that well known. And so later on, when all these different competitions came about, it was a thing where a lot of guitarists had to really get into a competition to get any recognition. I mean, you could be a phenomenal player, but if you didn't at least partake in one competition,
you had to put yourself out, right?
And so it's kind of defeating, in a way. And there are a lot of great musicians that are in their 50s, 60s and so forth, that didn't have that opportunity. And it's a real shame because they are the ones that were bringing up the young ones. They're the ones that were being listened to by those young ones who are now in the competition. So
do you think it makes sense for people of more mature musicians to compete?
I think it's fair as long as you do it the way that progressive musicians is doing it, where you have categories. If you have everybody in the same mix where a 12-year-old is competing with a 40-year-old, that can be kind of hard because the 12-year-old, hey, he or she could be a great player, but there is something to speak to towards life experience. Life experiences really, really accentuate more your dynamic spectrum. So I think that, yes, a great player at 12 and a great player at 40, 50, but don't put them together. Have categories. That way you can get the cream of the crop in each section, and it makes it fair for everybody.
Yeah, wonderful. I love your optimistic approach and your problem-solving approach to this, and very much looking forward to your performance. You're
Thank you.
a wonderful musician. I remember your auditions; it was so impressive, and can't wait to hear you with the orchestra.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, that's going to be fabulous. Thank you, Julio, for giving the interview and speaking with me tonight.
Great, thanks for having me.
Best of luck at the rehearsal.
Thank you.
And we're waiting for the appearance on stage of our conductor, Glenn Cortese, who will be accompanying Julio Reyes in this Vivaldi concerto. We're going to have a bit of a delay, a couple of minute delay, but we seem to have a full house here at the university. And this concert is taking place at SUNY Fredonia in New York. And it looks, Fedor, like a beautiful concert hall.
Yes, it's gorgeous. And we were told that the hold is because the ticket line, they're just getting more people in, so we'll be seeing more people coming in, and they just want to make sure everybody is able to get into the audience, into their seats, to enjoy the performance.
Well, this concerto by Vivaldi happens to be one of my favorites. Actually, I've fallen in love with Vivaldi more than ever, so I'm very eager to hear this. The conductor is, as we mentioned, Maestro Cortese. Am I pronouncing that right, or is it Cortez?
That is right. Cortese, yes.
Yeah, he's in his 4th season as artistic director of the Schenectady Symphony, and his 17th season as artistic director of this orchestra, the Western New York Chamber. He was music director of many orchestras. He's a resident conductor, an artistic administrator, and a principal conductor of orchestras throughout the United States and abroad. And he's appeared with orchestras all over the place, actually. In the United States, in Europe, in Latin America, and Asia. And he's now an assistant conductor of the New York Philharmonic, which has just announced a new conductor. So maybe he'll be working with Maestro Dudamel in the future. He's received many honors. He's conducted summer festivals in Chautauqua, the Bowdoin Summer Music Festival in Maine, the American Dance Festival, and he's performed with, are you ready? Ransom Wilson, Sharon Isbin, Ruth Laredo, Nathaniel Rosen, Glenn Dictorow, Sylvia McNair, Mignon Dunn, and Don Upshaw. So he is quite something, and our soloist is lucky to have him as his accompanist in this Vivaldi. He is, again, the artistic director of the Western New York Chamber Ensemble, and they're performing in this beautiful concert hall at SUNY, the State University of New York, at Fredonia.
Yeah, and we also have here saying that he's also a strong advocate of new music, and he has conducted over 150 premieres.
Really?
Has worked in direct collaboration with composers such as Milton Babbitt, Elliott Carter, John Corigliano, George Klum, and others.
That's quite a formidable lineup of composers, actually. I had the good fortune to know Milton a little bit, Milton Babbitt, and also Elliot Carter. I did a program with Elliot, 2-hour program of his life. And I've never met George Crumb, but who passed away recently, a wonderful. So this Glenn Cortese
we have some more
remarkable.
info about Julio as well, the guitarist, the soloist here that will be performing the Vivaldi Concerto. He was born in Oakland, California, and started guitar at the age of 5 with his father, a former musical diplomat in Paraguay, South America, if I'm pronouncing that right, who studied with a student of Agustin Berrios. He gave his first recital at 12, and at 17 performed the Concerto de
Aranjuez, that's right.
Aranjuez, with Richard Buckley and the Oakland Symphony Orchestra, who has performed in Europe, South America, and the Caribbean. That's very cool.
And I hear the audience quieting, so this may be a signal that the concert is about to begin. It's great that they had to delay the concert so they could get everybody into the hall, a very popular concert here in Fredonia. So we're very excited about that. And in just a moment, Maestro Cortese will be on stage with Julio Reyes guitar. And I see one of the musicians fanning herself. You see that there? She must, maybe it's a little warm in the hall, I don't know. I'm in Tucson.
The lights will be definitely bright enough for us to see everything, including Gretchen Fisher, who I believe that's who that is right now.
I see, yes.
Who's waiting for the moment to start the tuning. So looking forward to that, and hopefully we'll start soon.
Yes, and these musicians are competing. Will there be one winner, Fedor, tonight?
I am not sure, but I know that we are in the second concert of a long program of concertos from all different time periods and composers. I believe these are all winners because they are performed with the orchestra.
I see.
They were all selected by the long panel of judges mentioned by Anna Spenskaya earlier. So this is a great honor to hear them all perform. Every single one of them is going to be an amazing performance.
I see. And the cellist that Anna interviewed earlier in this introduction actually flew in from Israel to be here. She was jet lagged yesterday, but I imagine today she's all fresh and ready to go. And
those interviews were great. I absolutely loved watching that. I love the statue behind it. Or the statue, if you saw in the interviews, was the cellist who the hall was named after, Mr. King.
Right. That's right. So, again, it's, we never like to have a delay on a concert, but this is a good reason because the line outside the hall waiting to get in was so much they had to wait to get everybody into the hall. It is quieting on the stage, and we expect the appearance of Glenn Cortese any moment on the podium for this performance of the Vivaldi. It's not a long piece, but it's a wonderful piece by a man who really knew how to write a concerto. That's one thing you can say about Vivaldi. He wrote quite a few. And,
very many.
Yes, and the thing about the Vivaldi concertos is they're all different from each other. It's not like he not formulaic. Each one is distinct, each one is unique, and this one is no different. This is the wonderful concerto RV 93. It's the concerto in D major for guitar and orchestra, and it's in 3 movements. And we're going to be hearing throughout the concert. This, I believe, is one of only 2 concertos that we'll be hearing in its entirety, and we'll also be hearing in entirety the last piece after intermission, the Concerto in A minor for cello and orchestra by Camille Saint-Saëns, and Nahar Elias will be performing that in its entirety. Yes, very excited about that. And I see the concert mistress is still fanning herself. Must be a little steamy in the hall there.
I've been on stages many times. Usually the spotlights are going to be the thing that...
And here we go with an announcement.
Time for the concert.